Hi everyone, welcome to JSCN Impact Conversations. This is the third season and this is the first episode of JSCN Impact Conversations. I'm so happy to be here because I'm joined by a wonderful human being, a brilliant professor and a dear friend, Maryam Lotfi from Cardiff Business School. Maryam, welcome.
Oh, thank you very much, Hakan. Thanks a lot for the kind invite. I'm so glad to be here.
It is our pleasure. I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. Today, we have so many things to cover, some really important things. But first, a quick introduction. Who is Mariam and why is she here? And Mariam is a wonderful and brilliant scholar on modern slavery and social sustainability. And her PhD was also risk and resilience. So she's approaching supply chain management from both operational and sustainability point of view. And she's putting people at the center in her research and beyond. Also at Cardiff Business School, which is the world's first public value business school. Mariam is the co-founder and co-chair of the Modern Slavery and Social Sustainability Research Group. So Mariam, thank you so much for your time and we are so honored to have you here.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Okay, so why are we here and why this first episode is fundamental? Because this is the first week of March and the world is literally falling apart. And we are seeing a really interesting and very dangerous disruption across the Middle East. And it has creating very important supply chain implications. And we have to talk about the geopolitical tensions and the supply chain disruptions in the context of supply chain management research. So Mariam yesterday published a wonderful article on the conversation, and we will put the link on the chat box. Please engage with the article and please spread the word. And the article went viral, and today we are talking about the implications of the article and the vision that she has. So just to put things in a context, what happens in the Middle East is unfolding before our eyes, but literally the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the most important shipping routes for many in goods, especially oil and gas, in the international trade, is facing a really important disruption. And this really narrow corridor is actually one of the world's most critical choke points. And about the one-fifth of the world's oil and gas is actually passing through the strait daily. And now it is actually blocked. And we are seeing a really unprecedented supply chain disruption. So with Mariam, we are going to talk about what is happening, but also why this is becoming a supply chain crisis, which is going beyond a geopolitical tension. So, Mariam, in the article, you are actually talking about something really important. This is the actual weakness of globalization, and this is the way we created this structure which is not resilient by default. So I want to go. I want to go deeper. And you say something really important in the article. You say geopolitical risk is no longer exceptional, it is structural. So, in this context, how can we approach this, and how do you think a resilient, genuinely resilient supply chain should look like?
Thank you very much, Hakan, for this comprehensive explanation. Yes, I do think because few years ago, we might have won war. Then few years passed and we might take it not that much serious, re-looking at many of our designs for the supply chains and logistics, right? So, but now what we are seeing and what we are monitoring is that we are having more and more. We have Russia and Ukraine, we have, Gaza and Israel conflicts. And now this conflict between USA, Israel, and Iran. And who knows what might be next. So my viewpoint is that the previous resilient models, business models, approaches that we had in the supply chains, they are not just enough. They are not responsive to these scenarios that we are seeing today. So there should be some revision to our supply chains design, to our concept of resilience that considers geopolitical risk as part of it structurally. So sorry, there might
No problem.
there might not be any more an exception. I think they are becoming a structural. They are there consistently somewhere in the globe. So I think it is the time that we, as supply chain experts, we need to really revisit a lot of the work that we have done before in terms of resilience, in terms of supply chain designs, And even in terms of sustainability, I was thinking today, why always we say sustainability is social, environmental, and economic? I think these days, considering the geopolitical risks we are encountering, there should be another pillar for geopolitics there in the sustainability.
Absolutely. And you are underlining something really important. Supply chain design principles must be challenged. But for some years now, many supply chain scholars, we are underlining the importance of socio-ecological supply ecosystems, but also you are bringing a very important component, also political ecosystems. So we
Yeah,
cannot really just put politics aside.
yeah,
Everything is now becoming political. Also, here, let's go a little bit deeper. So far, supply chains have benefited from efficiency because we are in this capitalist mindset and
yeah.
we are running everything based on efficiency measures. And that's why supply chains are literally managed, controlled, and applauded with operational efficiency measures. My question to you, do you think are now we are at the turning point where the focus will have to change from efficiency first toward geopolitical fragmentation? And if that's the case, what does it mean? What does this shift mean for global trade?
For sure, I think there is a point that we need to revisit our business models for supply chain. If we just think about efficiency, the things that we are currently monitoring will happen again and again. Just look at this war. It is impacting the supply of oil and gas, even some fertilizer for agriculture sector. It is impacting our logistics. The ships are not going through, or there is a very limited numbers of ships going through. It becomes an insurance let's say a critical point for many insurance companies with regards to these ships. It is impacting the production because even some of the refineries were hit, right? So it is
Mhm,
impacting different levels of our supply chain, but also it is impacting manufacturers, suppliers, logistics, and consumers and customers. I mean,
mhm.
just we read that in Europe, in few days, we had a rise in gas prices and oil elsewhere as well. So it is hitting everyone. That means that the previous models simply are not ready, are not enough for this world, which at this pace, a war can be escalated. So specifically, we need to revisit and think anything we had until now for the supply chains, considering geopolitical risk, but specifically about wars and conflicts that we are witnessing more.
Absolutely. And so you are accentuating the importance of long-term vision and resilience. Also, we have to really challenge the term resilience and what it means to be resilient,
Exactly.
because also for the last 5 years, which is not a really long time, but we have seen price increases and supply chain disruptions because of COVID and because of the war in Ukraine and now the war in the Middle East, which is
Yeah.
also spreading quite widely. When you put things in a context, you say something really important in the article and now. Supply chain landscape, sourcing, production, and distribution, everything is intertwined, but all these geopolitical disruptions affect everything. So on the raw material
Exactly.
side, many raw materials need to come and pass through those channels. On the production side, energy is one of the most important ingredients, but now actually the energy, which is dependent on oil and gas, mostly coming from the Middle East, will be disrupted. And distribution, many goods will not be able to reach the consumers. And now we really need to rethink new structures, new governance models, and new leadership styles to govern supply chains. Mariam, this is not a question for you to answer, but this is a joint, let's say, invitation to all supply chain management scholars. We are going through this really critical bottleneck as a community. So supply chains are at the heart of this transition, but also energy sits at the heart of these global supply chains, and resilience needs to be linked with again energy and these transitions. But supply chain diversification will happen, we are aware, but also
Yeah.
this will create social, economic, and cultural implications. Some countries might win, but some countries will
Yeah.
be left behind. So, from the social sustainability and cultural sustainability perspective, what would you like to say to the supply chain management community to put people front and center when they approach and explore this new territory?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, it just gives us a lot to think and to do research on. But just the escalation of the current war, look at it. A lot of migrant workers in the region, in the Gulf region, there are a lot of migrant workers. They will be impacted, right? If there is a diversification and big brands and supply chains, big parent firms try to diversify, okay, they might go to other places, but are they ready for those, cultural and embedding the workers from other sides of the world into a sustainable environment? We don't know. Look at what happens to energy transition. We are pushing for these batteries and all these electricals, and a lot of it are coming from mines elsewhere at the expense of costs, at the expense and the cost of, a lot of human rights abuses there. So we don't know, but we need, as you said, to assure that we can develop business models. We can design it in a way that can include this integrity, this diversity, equity, and inclusion of all the workers. But honestly, my question first is that we don't know. We need to push a lot of our boundaries in supply chain. One of my other thoughts is that why always we are so reactive? Why we are not proactive? Look, the Strait of Hormuz was there always. We knew it's a risky region. We knew it's at a high region of geopolitical risk, right? Why should we waiting until these days and then said, okay, there is disruption in logistics, there is disruption in oil and gas. Why shouldn't we proactively thinking about how, as you said, we can bring these geopolitical risks or political supply chain views sooner to our designs and business models and everything. And that's one side. As you mentioned, another side is that for us, for yourself, with all the brilliant work you are doing around, justice theories of power, for us or for those who work on climate change, for myself working on working conditions and workers' rights, how these geopolitical risks can impact all these scenarios, and how we can design and push the boundaries of the fields of operations and supply chain management in a way that if something else happened 2 years later somewhere, we don't come to the point that we are today.
Absolutely brilliant points, Mariam, and thank you for sharing your vision. Also, our good friend Donna Marshall, with whom I am
Yeah.
conducting this research on just transition, she always says, "Where are the people? How can we really ensure people will be protected?" So this shall be our legacy in supply chain research. But before we actually started this recording session, you said something to me which is really inspiring. There's a mismatch between theory and practice, and also our papers
Yeah.
are becoming sophisticated and theoretical and nice. It's good, but at the same time it is getting difficult to translate this into daily takeaways. And then when we realize distractions, all the knowledge that we have built for the last 20, 30 years becomes somehow empty and even meaningless. So how would you also invite supply chain management scholars to be more proactive on the dissemination front? How can we create conversations by using our research, not just for publication purposes, but also for building conversations to challenge some of the issues that we are facing?
Yeah, very good point, Hakan. And I do agree that I sometimes feel disappointed as an academic. We are far behind what is happening in this space. I think really we need to be more agile. I think we need to work across disciplines. Like I was thinking, I need someone from politics. I need someone from geography, right? If I want to really understand and analyze this situation. Another thing that JSCM, I kind of like the editorial viewpoint and yourself on this impact series is that they always invite us to think differently. Don't go with the usual norms and approaches, but we should embrace that. We should really think how we can go beyond what we have in qualitative, quantitative data research, how we can think differently and bring that to our field of expertise in research. And yeah, I think another thing, as you mentioned, is just include people from these regions if we want to study. Because I was reading articles these days and they were not reflecting the comprehensive image of what is happening. So, including the context in what we are doing, I know it is difficult. We are both in this field. We know how much it is difficult. But without these realistic viewpoints and engaging with people really there experiencing things, it is impossible.
We can't capture the nuances because also our territories. I'm from Turkey, you are from Iran, and we are aware the context is really plural and
Yeah.
diverse. So we really have to capture all the nuances. So that's why inclusion and representation are absolutely needed. And also a huge thank you to JSCM and the editors Andreas and David and Hannah for giving us the space to build these conversations. But Mariam, it has been wonderful to have you here, and thank you so much for sharing your vision. I'm so humbled and honored by your participation. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. I mean, that was one of the agile responses. Why I wrote the conversation article was that I really want to put my thoughts, to the world, to the readers. And you were so quickly after that organizing this session just with the hope of, accelerating these kinds of discussions and thoughts. And I am so grateful for it. Thank you very much, Hakan.
No, thank you so much, Mariam. And the last final words that we shall say, love and empathy are fundamental, especially in today's global craziness. So
Yeah.
please, let's be kind to one another and let's spread the power of love, and hopefully we will heal all together. Mariam, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us, and see you at the next episodes. And please stay in touch, and please join Mariam's work, and you will find all the links at the conversation chat box. Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.